Now, where are you from?
I'm from South Carolina, a small town in South Carolina called Sandy Island, where I was raised. I was born in Georgetown, and I kind of lived in Pawleys Island and Myrtle Beach and all the different areas in the Carolina. But I was born, you know, in Sandy Island. That's like my hometown, a real island where I was raised as a kid.
Where do you reside now?
I live in Myrtle Beach now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, why so many different places in South Carolina did you move around?
Because in South Carolina, man, it's like once you live in an area for a certain amount of time, they raise up all the tax and they raise up all the rent, so you can eventually stay, but you can never own nothing. So they eventually raise it up enough to get somebody else to come in and move you out. So just like a little shell game they play in that state.
So out of all those different places, where did you live the longest growing up?
I would say Pawleys Island. Pawleys Island and Myrtle Beach.
And how long were you living out there for?
Altogether, probably over
like
10
in
years.
Each? Like in each?
Oh, each year? Probably like, I lived in Pawleys Island for like 6, 7 years. When I was in, you know, first place I moved out on my own house. And then I moved to Myrtle Beach when I, you know, started making a little bit more money.
And why Myrtle Beach for you? Because you can live anywhere in South Carolina. Why there?
Myrtle Beach, I mean, I just like, that's the closest thing to the city out there in that part of the Carolina. I mean, you got Charleston, you got Columbia, but the Grand Strand area, like, that's Pawleys Island, Sandy Island, all that. Myrtle Beach is like the main attraction, you know what I mean? So you want to be there because you want to be where it's happening, you know, where the girls at, where the money at, you know what I mean, where the good nightlife at.
Now, growing up for you, was it a rough upbringing? Would you consider it a rough upbringing?
I mean, my upbringing, we grew up in a struggle. I ain't gonna say it was rough because I had good parents that gave me the good morals, and even though we was poor, like we still got the things we wanted or the things we needed, like in the times we needed it. But I grew up, I grew up knowing what hard times was. I mean, I grew up in a crib where like probably from the age of being a baby all the way to 10, we really couldn't take no shower, and we had to wash off in the sink, old school way. And then some days we would have to like get water from my grandma's house, like doing the old school way through like a little pail on the island, bringing it back to your house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean.
That sounds pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle.
What do you think your roughest moment dealing with this struggle was? Was that it, or was it something deeper than that?
I think the roughest thing probably was my dad dying. Yeah, that probably was the roughest thing.
How old were you?
I was 15. Yeah, I was
pretty
15.
young.
Yeah.
The adolescence years, those high school years, can be crucial for a young man to have his father around.
True.
So that can be detrimental to some. Was it for you?
I think so, because that's like, I think that's when the change happened in my life. I mean, because I got an older brother and a sister, and like they was already in college and gone. And when he passed away, it was just me and my mom's. So that made like the financial situation different. That made like, you know, it wasn't like you was thinking you was gonna get a job. You know, you had to get a job, you know what I mean? And then that made me feel like, I thought I was a man already back then. And that's what made me like feel like making certain decisions and feel like I was a man of the house. So I did a lot of, that's when I started making mistakes, kind of.
Now, what did he pass away from?
He had a rare heart attack, man. Like, he was a healthy dude, and he was retired from the military and was working at the AVX and everything. He was only 45.
Very young.
Yeah, he was only 45, and we saw him that night, and he came, it was like the day after New Year's. He came by the house, and we was just chilling, watching like Rocky. I think the Rocky series is on. I love that Rocky movie. I think like Rocky 5 or 4 was on or something, but he liked that movie too. So he was just chilling with us, and then he went home to his mom's house, or he went to visit his mom's, to see her and spend some time with her. And she said he laid down and he ain't never get back up.
How'd you hear about it?
I mean, she called us that night, and she said he on the floor, but he won't get up. So we all left my mom's house, me, my mom's, my brother, my sister, running up there to see if we could help her. And when we got there, it was like, you know, he had his hand on his chest and like stuck. If you ever seen somebody die, you know, their body get frozen in whatever the position is, that when the life is coming out of them, they just freeze. And it's like, you can't move them. You can try, but it's like a statue.
Rigor mortis, I believe, is the term for that.
True, true.
So ambulance come?
Yeah, but it was on the island, so it took so long.
Oh.
It took for about 30, 40, maybe an hour. I'm gonna say about an hour they came. But we already tried to give him CPR and everything at that point, and it just didn't work out. And by the time they got there, they was like, they could revive him, but they said his brain wouldn't be the same. And my mom's and my grandmama said they didn't want to do that, you know.
So you've seen your father's, his dead body?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was an experience. It was an experience.
I'm sure that's something you can never take out of your mind or your brain, or it's something that's probably just etched in there forever.
Yeah, man. After something like that happened, you don't really fare too much. That's why, like, I mean, I always grew up, my uncles and my brothers and them always said, like, I was never really scared of nothing. Never scared of really getting in trouble, or never really scared of no, like, bullies in school or anything like that. Just he never really had that fear button.
You went to the funeral?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Pretty tough.
Yeah, it was tough. You know what I mean? Especially at that age, when you're 15, you know what I mean? You're still a kid, you know what I mean? I kind of grew up like the struggle that you hear about most black dudes in the hood without a father. I kind of grew up feeling that same way, even though I had a real father. But I had the same thought process as them, you know, because of that situation, kind of.
Was that your first funeral you ever went to?
Nah, that wasn't my first funeral. That wasn't my first funeral.
Your toughest funeral?
But I would say it was up there. It was like one of the toughest ones. Because, I mean, right after he passed, that same year, my cousin that got tattooed on my arm, he passed away too. And he was the same age as me. He was 15. Yeah.
That's even younger.
Yeah. And he had caught, like, he ate something that messed up his stomach. He got food poisons. And then from the food poisoning, it did something, affected him, some like cancer type thing. It went and they pulled it out and they thought it was done. And his hair started to grow back and everything, but then 2 years later, it just came full-fledged, and like in a week or two, he was gone. Yeah.
Do they know what kind of cancer it was?
I think they had said it was like in the stomach, the intestines or something like that. I don't know exactly. I was young. I was there with him in the hospital and everything, but you know what I mean, I didn't really know all the medical stuff back then.
So they thought they had gotten rid of it initially.
Yeah, yeah.
And it came back and got him.
Yeah, yeah. Cancer's crazy like that though, man. It's not the only person I've heard that happen to, but.
That's pretty young to get cancer though.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've seen people get it when they're like a baby or a kid,
Sure.
or you get it when you're older. But when you get it in the middle, like 15, 20, 30, I just don't see that too often.
That's true. That's true.
You know? Yeah. I don't know. It's not something like when I was growing up in high school, I never heard of a 15-year-old dying from cancer.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
It was kind of shocking, man. I mean, to the family.
It's not the norm.
Nah, definitely wasn't the normal. You know what I mean?
What do you miss most about your father?
My dad was just a cool guy. Like, I miss just like talking with him. He was always like cool, mellow, funny in his own way. Always like well-dressed brother, cufflinks and all that type of stuff. Always taking his clothes to the cleaners, fresh dude. He just been cool people to be around, you know what I mean? He was a good guy, good man. And like, he always like told us small things, like, you know, like always look people in their eyes and, you know, take care the little bit you got regardless of what, because if you can take care of the little bit you got, you'll be blessed with more. And I mean, That's definitely true, I think.
What's your favorite memory of him? Was it the Rocky movies or?
I think my favorite memory of him, it was like when I was a little kid. I was like maybe 5 or 6 or whatever. And I woke up early in the morning. It was my birthday. My mom's had this big cake on the table or whatever. And I just snuck out the room and I had the knife and I was trying to just cut me a big ass piece of the cake off before everybody got up. And he damn snuck up behind me and was like, boo. And it scared the hell out of me, you know what I mean? But I remember that to this day, and I was like a little kid, you know what I mean? It was a cool moment.
Now, everybody grieves differently. Somebody watching this, I mean, I've never experienced yet the death of a parent or a father, but somebody may be going through the motions of this happening to them. Obviously, everybody's different. How somebody passes away is different, but generally speaking, what's some words of advice you would give to somebody coping with the death of a parent, or in this case, a father?
The best advice I tell you, man, you just gotta take it a day at a time. A lot of people get like overwhelmed with like death, and they get into this depression stage, and they just want to be closed off from everything and just sleep all day or be away from everything. I know everybody got their way of dealing with things, and I ain't saying which way is right or wrong, but the best way to do it is keep on moving, keep going forward. So even if you have a moment, if you get weak and you break down and cry, I mean, at least you will fall forward. You ain't gonna fall going backwards, you know, because your people ain't want that for you. They want you to progress. They ain't want you to stay stuck, and they want life, you know. That's not what they want. You know?
Now, okay, so that happened around your high school years, and after that, that's when you kind of said that you kind of got off track. In what way?
I mean, I just started then.
You said stuff changed.
Yeah, that's when I started hanging with different crowds. I mean, of course, they started smoking weed. I mean, I was drinking back then too, and just like I've been feeling that, getting that family type vibe from the street people, from being out on the street, like hanging out with your boys, the smoking, the drinking, fighting, whatever the case may be. That kind of, that feeling of like being in that group, that shit kind of helps with the pain when you lose like your best friend and your dad. It make you kind of feel like you got a family again. Even though you got your family with your moms, and everybody know their moms love them, and everybody love their moms, but that feeling of feeling like you're a man, even though you probably not when you're doing that shit most of the time, but it gives you that false security. I mean, almost
like a fraternity. You're with your boys, you know?
Exactly.
A female, which is the opposite sex of you, you respect it, but it's still different.
True.
You know, maybe if you were a daughter and you had your mom, no big deal, but yeah.
True.
So what type of student were you in school before the change and then after?
Before, I think I was like, you know, the good kid, you know what I mean? I always was a little while, like, not too good. Not to say I was no perfect, all A's and, you know, prompt for class and everything like that. Not like no student like that, but I was always good. I was always consistent. But when my dad died, that's when I like grew my hair out long. I got braids, you know what I mean? It just like my whole, what I used to be, I kind of just had to grow. I guess I had to take a little grow, but I started off one way, and then even though I got kind of on the left, I was still smart though. I was never like a dumb kid. I ain't gonna even lie and say I was a dumb kid, a dumb student. I mean, when I finished school, I had a 3.0 GPA, and that's why after I didn't miss 36 days of cutting class every single day. As soon as I got my car, I would just only go for like weightlifting and gym, but show up for the tests and stuff, and the quizzes.
Did you rap in school?
Oh yeah, I rapped back then too, yeah. And that's like when I first did it, because I used to rap and pass out little tapes to my friends in class, and I did that so much that they used to let me perform like at the Black History programs and stuff every year until I was a senior. Let me rap to my own school or whatever and shit. It was cool.
Did you battle classmates?
Oh yeah, I did the battling thing a lot, yeah.
Win, lose,
I mean, I lost some.
break even?
I say I did a little bit better than break even. I'm just being honest. I ain't trying to be cocky, you know what I mean? But I had a lot of battles, but I took pride in that battle shit, in that lyrical game. Like at that time, I really went hard on that shit. I used to write a battle every day.
Did your father see you rap?
Nah, that's because like when he was alive, I was focused on playing basketball. I played basketball in high school too. And I mean, I won like 2 awards, you know, I was pretty straight. But my senior year and my junior year was the years after he died, and I became kind of unfocused. One year I couldn't play because I had all bad grades the first half of the semester. And the next year I could play, but the coach didn't start me. And I was like, nah, I mean, I was kind of arrogant about that. I could really ball though, you know.
You think if you would have took it serious, you could have got some sort of athletic scholarship?
I think if I was dedicated to it, yeah, if I was dedicated to it, like the way I am with the music, but back then I've been chasing girls and, you know.
What would your father think of your rap career now? Would he be surprised?
He'd be surprised, but my dad used to always love music. Like he used to bump like Scarface and NWA and shit like that. He had his old school shit, like all the cats from that era, but he used to bump like the rap shit. I remember getting in his car and he'd be bumping that shit. I'd be like, damn, what daddy know about that shit? You know what I mean?
Graduated high school?
Oh yeah, I graduated.
Tried college?
Shit, I filled out all the paperwork and went down there, but man, that's when I was unfocused. I did all the shit like I was gonna go to college, and the next week I was hanging out with my boys, and I was like, I ain't going back to that shit. And I never went back. And I had a scholarship for art.
You had a college scholarship?
Yeah, for art school, and that school was in Georgia, the art school, some art school in Georgia, because I won a couple of art awards. I used to draw and paint, you know what I mean? I won a couple of merit awards every year when I was in high school, and I had got offered that, but I was chasing this girl that I was in love with and trying to be loyal to my boys, and that was dumb.
What did your mother think of that decision making?
Yeah, she was like, back then she was criticizing me for it all the time. Yeah, my mom used to be extra hard on me and shit though.
Thinking back in your life, hindsight 2020, would you have let everything played out like it did, or would you have changed your what you would have done with the scholarship, or gone to college, or?
I ain't gonna say I would change them because I like the way that I think everything happened for a reason, but if I could do it again, I probably would do the art scholarship thing because I mean, that's just like, you know what I mean? You don't get that all the time, you know what I mean? And I know from all the people I'm around, like people, we don't usually get that opportunity, so I should have just took it. It could have been an experience, you know?
I mean, think about it. There's people that would love to go to college or school and can't afford it, can't financially pay for it. And here you go, you get a scholarship and you don't even use it.
Yeah, I know, man.
Can you imagine somebody that's like praying for financial aid or some sort of financial break to get into a school, and here you go, you have a scholarship, and it's, who cares?
Yeah, see, that's bad thinking, man, yeah. That goes back to maturity, man. I think I was immature at that time. I know I was immature, ain't no think. I know I was immature at that time because that was like a foolish decision. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that. And anybody out there, like, don't damn, you know, school, I know everybody want to be trapping, everybody want to be a rapper, and you know what I mean? Do what you got to do to make your money, but you know what I mean? If you got a chance to go to school, you got to take that, you know what I mean?
Now, after you decided not to go to the art school or whatever the case may be, you stayed in the streets, or did music become serious at that point, or what?
Fill
me in.
Music became serious like ever since the beginning. Like since that point, when I didn't go to the art school thing, I always told my moms, and I'm like, I'm gonna fall back on this music thing. I'm gonna have this music thing to fall back on. You know what I mean? So I had a little bit of money that my dad left me when he passed, and I took most of that money and took it and put it all into like studio equipment, you know what I mean, the little DJ equipment. I learned how to DJ. And then I would start booking real sessions with a real studio, And I made a CD, and then I got the CD put in the store around South Carolina on my own money, and I had a guy teach me about the business about publishing, and I had got my own publishing company done through ASCAP, all like within, before I turned 21, I did all that, but I just ain't had the shit that you're supposed to know to really like, to get in the business. Like, those things are good to know, but you gotta, it's the shit you can't teach somebody to read in the book is kind of the way you gotta get in this business, I think.
I see. Did you eventually learn those lessons?
I think I'm learning them. I ain't gonna say I know everything, but like, from being involved with my dude, Project Pat, from getting that experience, that situation with him, and always talking with him on the phone, asking him like how this person did that, and like, yo, this rapper right here, like how he did that, and he'd like kind of be like, yo, this is what they did, this is the way that's probably happened. And I start thinking, I say, okay, so I can start see the picture. Like everybody trying to chase his dream, but you gotta at least be able to see the path. If you can't see the path, like, I mean, you can have all the money, all the trap money, all the street money, and you can damn throw 1,000 parties and everything. The shit ain't gonna resonate though, cause it's you gotta know somebody on the inside, I guess, to know kind of what to do, and it's still faith. You gotta take them steps on faith. I mean, you gotta believe it in your mind. With the image that you put in your mind, you gotta make that shit happen with your energy. You put that energy out there, cause I believe that in life it's all about your energy. Whatever energy you got, like truly inside your heart and your soul, like that energy driving you, you push that energy out there and you're gonna make a leap on faith. Like, I mean, I think that's just nature.
You had a situation with Project Pat?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's not like a deal, but we got a relationship, you know what I mean? We done plenty of records together. We got videos out, you know what I mean? He helped me come on a couple of their tour days that him and Juicy had, where Juicy had a rubber band business tour, and he would let me come on their set, do me like a little 15 minutes, and you know what I mean? He would really talk to me, like after everything done, after the video, after the song, I would talk to him on the phone, and I was like, damn, I ain't thought Project Pat was who he really was. I mean, he is like a G, a street nigga, a trap rapper, but the shit that we talk about on the phone, like he be telling me about like the certain morals, and you gotta have positive energy. And if you got positive energy when you're doing something wrong and you're doing it the right way, you still could be blessed. He said you just gotta play things the right way. Don't never have bad intentions. And like he said, like, I mean, you really gotta find that niche. You gotta find what everybody else ain't doing, and you gotta make sure you just don't just attack it for 1 second and it's cool. Everybody think they make a little noise, they do a couple World Star videos, put a couple mixtapes out, they straight, but you gotta keep on killing it with consistency, you know what I mean? It gotta be in you to do that anyway.
How did you guys initially link? That seems like an odd relationship.
I mean, Pat, we linked up through his dude, Big Trail. Like, his Big Trail was like his manager. And I mean, I was putting out a bunch of stuff on World Star because I was in South Carolina looking at everybody doing music and figuring out like why none of us ain't getting no look for no real artists, ain't none of us connecting with no real artists, I connected with no real pros. I say, why is that? I say, the niggas that I know, that street niggas that's getting money, that's even doing stuff, they still ain't making that connection. So I say, man, I'm a flood World Star, and so somebody gonna hear me, like somebody gonna see that, yo, this nigga actually got some talent, this nigga actually dope. And Big Trail said he saw my video Green Crack and Dope Lines, and he was like, dude, hard. And he mentioned it to Pat, and him and Pat called me one day, but I ain't thought it was really him, and I was like, man, this ain't really Pat. And he was like, man, I'm telling you, Trail was like, I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't scam you. He said, I'm telling you, I'm Pat manager. And I said, everybody always be telling me that this person manager, and that because I've been doing music for a minute, so I done had placements with like other rappers. I done went to New York and DC, Baltimore, then did a little circuit run. And you can get a placement with an artist. An artist can have you can have a song with an artist, and that artist won't even damn blink if they see you in the streets because they ain't even sign off on the record anyway. If they ain't sign off on the record, the feature just like, that is some local shit. You know what I mean? That's just some shit that you just gonna get people to talk about you. And Pat was telling me all these things, I never knew that. He was like, you know that they giving you features, but they ain't signing off on the record. And if they ain't signing up on the record, they ain't giving it a legitimate case to get really heard. And like that time when he called me, he was like, man, that Green Crack song you got, he said, that shit fire, man. He said, I want to get on that shit. And I was like, you know what I mean? Everybody asked me like, will you charge him? I say, man, I ain't gonna charge him nothing. I said, that's an opportunity. Every opportunity gotta be about money. You ain't gotta be like, you didn't wanna have somebody see you got talent and the first thing, you come out with a stink ass attitude like, yo, break the book out, let me get them bands. Like, you can't do that. I mean, you can do that, but you're gonna see how far this shit gets you. You know what I mean? And with him, when I did that song with him, the Green Crack, he was like, man, I got Strong song I did with Dolph on my Street Guy mixtape. Since I already got that out, I'll remix it and throw you on it. And he did that for me, and I was like, that was cool. And that gave me 2 songs to perform at like the shows too. So I was like, you know what I mean? He was giving the brother love, you know what I mean?
How was the reaction on you at the shows?
The shows, pretty good, man. I mean, I didn't know I was saying nervous, but I was skeptical about the crowd, because I mean, at their shows, they be bringing a real diverse crowd. I thought it was gonna be like a hood crowd, but at a Juicy J show, man, it's like all races. I mean, ain't that hood crowd, so they just want to have that feel good music, man, and everybody smoke weed, and you get up there with a good song about weed, with a good jingle, good chorus, they gonna rock with you, you know what I mean? So every time I did a show, the energy been good, and they always give well back, you know what I mean? So I ain't had a bad show yet, you know what I mean?
When it comes to Project Pat, what's the biggest advice he's given you so far, or the most important thing you learned being around him?
The biggest advice he gave me was, he said, never stop working. And he was like, every man equal to every man. He was like, I know in this rap game it's all about ego, but he was like, in this rap game, you just seen it yourself. One man can be nothing one day, the next day he can go right past the artists that been out there doing it for the longest. So he just been like, man, stay humble, you know what I mean, stay focused, never stop working. You know what I mean? That's like the best advice. And I say the best thing I learned around him is like the way to mingle with people. I mean, I like the way that he mingle with people. He Project Pat, but he always treat everybody like he might be up here, but he right here with you. Like he right at that same level. He know, like, you know, he been to prison, he did time. He got a lot of different experiences. So I like the way he know how to move in the room, even when it's a room full of vultures, like Hov say, he know how to move in the room. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing I've seen around him. You know what I mean? I've seen him being around other celebrities, and he ain't never like, he said when you around other celebrities, he always told me like, you can't act that fan shit. You can't do that fan shit. He say, you gotta step to them a way that they can respect you. Cause I mean, you already respect them, but you want them to respect you too. You know what I mean?